Hey everyone, it's Ben Cecchini, founder of Give and Grow, back with another episode of the Give and Grow podcast. This is our sports psychology series, and I'm super excited to introduce you guys to a friend, a mentor, and a boss in this game of, mental skills,
Yeah.
sports psychology. This is Graham Betchart. Graham, how you doing today, man?
Man, great, Ben. Thanks for having me, man. Grateful
Of,
to be here.
of course. I want to give you a proper bio introduction, then we'll get into the conversation here. So, Graham is a chief mindset officer. I love that title. Co-founder of trainthemind.com, mental skills coach for Aaron Gordon and Jaylen Brown. Previously worked with the Utah Jazz and the UConn Huskies during their championship seasons at the Huskies. And he specializes in supporting basketball players and teams, business executives, police, and he's also a beat maker, artist, producer, all around these mental skills. So, Graham, once again, just super excited to have you on here today. Um,
Yeah.
I'm excited to drop into some questions for hoopers and
Yeah.
parents of hoopers and coaches of hoopers right here to kick things off. I know you've done so much work in that space, and can you just talk about the mindset that you help players, coaches, teams develop? Like, what is that end goal or focus that you have when you start working with some of those guys?
Man, it's always to have someone just be in flow, and I mean, because the flow state is where everything comes from, So everything we're doing is just building an awareness and trying to make it super simple on how to do that. And so you start with just what's important now, what's in your control, And I think as you're building a mindset, I see a lot of people focused on stuff outside of their control, and that just cracks under pressure. That's not going to last very long. So we just start with, okay, I can't control results and outcomes, but I can control a process, And so you just start to build that. And so you go from there, and that's the win, the W.I.N, the what's important now. And once you start there, I don't want to say like that's it, but literally that's it, you know. Now we have a whole bunch of skills that help you with that because it turns out that's a challenge, just to be like, I'm in flow, I'm in process, I don't care about results. Like we live in the real world, that can be tough, So we work on all the skills on basically how do you bounce back when you lose that and you get caught up in the math world, like, oh my God, I'm making mistakes or I'm missing shots. How do I bring myself back to flow? How do I bring myself back to breathing, to being present, to trusting, to accepting the stuff I can't control, to working on that grace? So, I mean, it sounds simple to do, but if we introduce it as a language and we start practicing it, everyone gets better at this stuff. You know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Heck
it just
yeah.
takes practice, So.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you breaking down that as the first step. For those of you that don't know, probably not many of you know it, if at all, but like Graham gave us the language for give and grow when we started this thing. What's important now? See, breathe, do, be where your feet are. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, Positive self-talk, like all these
Yeah.
skills were things that Graham was just like, take this and run with it. These are things that I've learned along the way, but they're not mine. They're to take
Yeah.
and to share and to grow. And so you've obviously been super pivotal in the work that we do with Give and Grow. And I appreciate you breaking that down as like the first step is that question. And then we can use the skills to get back to that.
Yeah.
What's important now, here and now in the present moment. When you
That's right.
worked with like Aaron Gordon, some of these other guys, you started when they were like young teens or maybe even
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
bit younger than that. Like, can you talk to us just about that process and what you saw really connect with them? I think this is a great question for like coaches, parents, and even young players out there. Like, yeah, just talk about that growth
Yeah.
that you saw and how you guided them through that.
Man, it's the same thing. You start with anyone, you plant the seed of what's in your control, and then you have a lot of patience. So what you can't do is be in a hurry, and you can't be in a hurry to get a result. And that's in general what most people are doing. So
Mm,
even when you're hearing me talk mental skills right now, you might be processing how to get a result with this stuff.
mm,
That's not it. Right. So
mm,
you just start with that you have to make peace with that. And for the most part, most people, Ben, are in a hurry, right?
mm,
They're anxiously in a hurry, telling themselves that means they're motivated or they care. And
mm,
so when you start with with anything, it is always coming back to like, okay, I'm here. I'm 10 toes down in the present. With Aaron Gordon, the first thing we worked on was how to miss a shot. And we did a drill. He was 11 years old. I had a bucket and a golf ball, and he stood 2 feet from the bucket. I said, "Okay, just throw the ball in the bucket, man." And he was like, "Easy, bet I can do that."
mhm,
And what he didn't know was the ball was automatically going to bounce out. And
Mm,
all I wanted to see was what happens when he missed. And so he threw the ball, he missed, and he went, oh, like I missed, and I was like, why are you doing that? And he was like, because I missed. And I was like, you're going to miss half the shots you take if you're great. And if
mm,
this is how you react when you miss, we got no chance. And
mm,
then we introduced next play speed, which is how fast can you let go and move forward. And he was like,
mm,
oh my God. He goes, why are you teaching me this? I'm like, because you want to get good at missing. And then if you look at Aaron Gordon now, and this is a testament to like the process of it, this is 17 years later, and he's hit multiple game-winning threes in
mhm,
the last 80 hours, in the NBA. And this is someone they said couldn't shoot a basketball. But what he was really good at, this is important for everyone, is he got really good at missing shooting a basketball. As
mm,
opposed to missing, like not taking a shot, he was like, I'm going to get so good at missing taking shots and bouncing back with my next play speed. That's the equivalent of a baby just falling down, learning to walk. It's normal, but most of us say we're failing or we're missing. The whole time, all we worked on was, no, you're doing amazing. You're trusting what's important now. If
mm,
you could control making shots, we would just focus on that, but we're doing the process.
mm,
Now you're watching someone dedicated to that who's drilling shots under pressure now. And why? Because he's present and trusting and doesn't care at all about that.
mm,
Like he's mentally trained himself out of the results and outcomes into flow. And so when
mm,
you watch him, he's just like, yeah, that's what I do. So that takes a lot of practice. But starting with someone like that, I mean, Jaylen Brown, you look at him, he focuses on his breath. He's like a savant with breathing.
mm,
He's taken that and he just works on breathing all the time because that's another skill we work on is palms down, which is I don't react, I respond, I take a
mhm.
breath and I move on. And
Bars.
yeah, so that's a these are we try to make these into moves so you always can be like, well, I'm in the present, focused on what's important now. Oh, I'm
Mm,
gone. Next play speed, come back. Or like, oh, but the ref. Wait, take a breath, choose my response, come back.
mm,
And so the foundational tools of just bouncing back, finding your breath, working on grace in those moments.
mhm,
If you just start there, one, you'll spend the rest of your life working on these in every aspect of your life. But
mhm,
starting there, I found that to be the most lethal thing to get results,
mm,
because it's just like if you don't stop yourself, it's going to happen, you know?
mhm. Yeah. I love the one thing that always stands out to me with you that I always walk away from our conversations with is your language. And you threw out grace and you threw out lethal. And like, it's almost like you would hear lethal in one aspect and be like it's a total other end of the spectrum other than grace. Like, can you talk about how those two kind of work together in your work? Like
Oh, yeah.
how you, yeah, just
Well,
that.
I mean it with sincerity. Ask OKC what it feels like with Aaron Gordon burying shots in your face. It's lethal when you
Mm,
do this. Now, is Aaron Gordon thinking that? No, he's thinking grace and poise and just move forward. It
mm,
ends up being lethal, right?
mm,
It if you're in a competitive space playing a game with a bouncy ball and referees, you know what I
mm,
mean? And you get out of your own way and you're gracefully moving back to the present and trusting, that's deadly in those situations.
mm,
So we use those words to let you know how amazing these skills are, and they're soft skills. So
mm,
how was Aaron Gordon here? He went through 9 straight years of missing shots.
yeah.
Now, like he does it on TV, that's way harder than doing it as in high school or something, right? So
Mhm,
most people won't do that. So there's
mm,
the grace of like, wow, I'm going to go through this experience and it's
mm,
going to look like I'm failing, but I'm not
mm,
failing at all. But
mm,
I have to go through this. Right. So the grace is I'm going to go through. And the other side of that is, you know how lethal you are when you do that?
mhm,
Like, and if you know, you know. If you
mhm.
know, and so you're like, the amount of damage I'm going to do to other teams without thinking about doing damage. You're
Right.
just gracefully move forward after things don't go your way. That's it. And
Mhm.
it turns out if you do that, it is devastating in a competitive space.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
like overwhelmingly devastating. Now, if you refuse to move forward because you're scared, then it's not going to happen. If you
Mm,
refuse to have grace and breathe in those moments, then you're not that lethal, right? And those soft skills are going to be the reason you didn't do it because you're too,
mhm,
oh my God. It's like no, it's really more gentle than that. And the ones that can show grace in that moment, they unlock the whole thing. And then
mhm.
you realize there's nothing to fear anyway. And
Yeah.
once you unlock that, now you're in a flow state that is surreal,
Mhm,
but you have to go because what's everyone's fear? Let's just say basketball. It's missing shots, right? That's
mhm,
most people's fear. And if they miss five in a row, they're like, never would I miss six. Like, I'm not going to do that. Grace would be like, I might have to miss 15 today.
Ooh.
And I have to have a lot of self-compassion to go through this experience
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'll never name the names, but I know a bunch of athletes that refuse to go through that,
Mm,
and they don't play so much,
mm,
and so you want to practice this skill young, and you
mm-hmm.
want to get good at doing this. And again, I don't even like the word failure, because if we're watching a little baby learn to walk and they're falling down, are we like, you little failure?
Right.
No,
Right.
that's the natural process of
Mm-hmm.
greatness. We
Mm-hmm.
could look at that baby and say, this is Usain Bolt
Right.
learning how, like, this is what it looks like.
Right.
If we were like, this baby can't run, I'm like, no, they're beautiful at running. This is the process. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I held up a redwood tree seed in my hand right now, it wouldn't look very big. And I'd be like, this is the biggest thing on this planet.
Right.
Like, this is the biggest living thing on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to need to give it like 380 years, but
Right.
like,
Right.
but it's going to happen.
Right.
Oh, I bring it back. Aaron Gordon is 29 years old, kicking ass, shooting threes.
Yeah.
This is a man who could jump over a house, right? And
Mm-hmm.
has never won a dunk contest. Maybe the greatest dunker to ever compete in the dunk contest, never won it.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's hitting threes in the NBA playoffs. So that's the power of letting go, of having grace, of what's important now, and going through your journey, and
Yeah.
letting it happen.
And it seems like the when you break it down, it just makes all the sense in the world. I think growing up for most people our age or even younger still, like there's still that like we got to work hard and don't fail and like there's that more like I'm going to overcome and defeat fear and and you're talking about grace and compassion and like kindness and it can seem just counterintuitive, but when you break it down it makes all the sense in the world and I believe it. This is what I'm like working on in my day to day too, like whether it's in
Yeah.
entrepreneurship or heading into parenthood. It's like, okay, we can come down with the hammer on ourselves or on other people, but what's more devastating, what's more lethal is the great grace and compassion.
You know it right away when I say it, and I mean that because that's my job here, is to let people see the ferocious power of these soft skills.
Hmm.
Ben, I was raised by midwives, born on a commune. Like, this is nothing to them. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, if you come from that feminine power of literally life and death, like
Hmm.
midwifery is life and death. They're not playing games. We are playing games here, Ben.
Right.
We are
Right.
literally with a bouncy ball and made up effing rules. So you have to have perspective. If not, you're in such trouble.
Hmm.
If you think this is life or death, get over yourself. I
Hmm.
know what life or death is. I'll go talk to a midwife. It's life or death.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's it. So I only say that to be like, a little perspective on this can give you more grace.
Right.
So what, I missed 10 shots. I feel like I'm gonna die, but are you? No.
Right. Right.
So let's go through it.
Hmm. And
And
that's
then
where
you
those skills come in. That's where the breathing comes in. That's where the palms down comes in. That's where the 10 toes comes in. The questions come in is like, okay, I'm feeling all of this craziness and fear and it feels like I'm going to die or I just
come on.
lost the world or lost an opportunity or whatever. But no, but
No, not at
perspective.
all. And then
And
frame it as mental training.
mm,
So if we were doing physical training and you were in a moment of like, oh, my muscles are burning, it's super intense, everything feels intense, we'd be like, good, breathe,
right.
lean in. We're going to be out of that real quick.
Hmm.
Mentally, do the same thing. These
Hmm.
concepts are simple when you look at it like training.
Right.
So I'm a mental skills coach. I'm going to teach you a skill. We have to train it. What's the
Hmm.
training feel like? Exactly what you just said. Oh, it's intense. My mind's going wild. Welcome to the party.
Yep.
Well, welcome to working out. Turns out you're
Mhm.
totally safe doing that,
Hmm. And here are the
right?
effective forms. Here are the effective like tools to use to work out safely, to work to gain the strength in
Yeah.
those moments.
Breathing,
Hmm.
relaxing, observing your thoughts. So here's a big
Hmm.
one. Tell me the sensation in your body, not the story in your mind. So if the story in your
Hmm.
mind is I'm going to die, clearly that's never happened. So
Hmm.
you actually don't know what that feels like.
Hmm.
So we have to start with reality, right? You've never died, so you don't know, right? You
Hmm.
you don't know. That's a story. stop with the story. What does the sensation in your body feel like?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, it's not so bad.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's not bad at all. The
Yeah.
stories are insane.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're allowed to run wild with whatever story you want, that's insane,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have to learn to observe stories
Mm-hmm.
and go, what's the sensation like? Is it
Feel the
that bad?
sensation. Yeah.
Sensation, maybe your heart's beating a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the story that's crazy. The sensation,
Yeah.
you're like, I'm fine in the moment. I'm
Yeah.
fine. So
Mm-hmm.
get to the sensation and then breathe.
Yes.
And then observe the story because the stories are nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And until you do this, they seem real. But for me, my job's to help people see the nonsense in the stories. Everyone loves stories,
Mm.
Ben, for some
Yeah.
reason. Everyone loves
The
stories.
drama, baby.
I love the sensation. So the
Mm.
sense the sensation is real. The story is make believe.
Mm.
So I get that you might be having a story of like, I'm gonna die. That's not a universal truth. I'm not thinking that whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I could be in a so that's not a universal thing going on. That's your own drama. If you
Mm-hmm.
can learn to observe that and be like, I see the story that says I'm going to die. Just by saying, I
Right.
see the story that says I'm going to die, you are now the observer of the story, not the story. And by
Yeah.
becoming the observer, now you can create some distance. Now we just did a little step back. You ain't pressing me. And
Mm-hmm.
now I got space, and that story ain't doing shit.
Ooh,
Woo,
ooh,
woo.
ooh.
And now I'm going to be lethal to that story.
Mm-hmm.
And my job here is to decimate illusions. I
Mm.
mean, decimate them because I'm a ferocious competitor.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are a ferocious competitor on this call, this is how you win a fight, right?
For
This is
real.
actually how you win a fight. So when I'm saying I'm lethal, I'm saying that because I know how to fight,
Mm.
and I'm actually here to win, not to say words and pretend and get caught up and then be a victim. Like I'm here to really win. And
Mm.
so this stuff will get you out of your own way.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get into it, you start observing stories, realizing the sensation is safe. You find your breath. You've chosen your response. You look around and you're like, I'm free.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, we're literally playing a game with bouncy balls, orange rims, and
Mm-hmm.
costumes that we wear.
Yeah.
Costumes. And then we make up stories. We make up stories that say this has meaning, this doesn't have meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Like a ball going in, a cylinder has meaning, or a ball not going in. That has no meaning in the universe.
Mm.
What has meaning is your presence and your flow. That's real,
Mm.
right? So you can miss every shot and be in perfect harmony with flow and be
Mm.
devastating out there
Right.
because you're in perfect flow. It's nothing to do with whether it goes in or out. It's all your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
And
now this is different when I talk with midwives because if they don't have a good day, someone dies. So
mm.
that's way, way different in those moments than, oh, I gotta take a jump shot. Oh my God. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you're gonna be all right.
I really appreciate just the perspective that you're building and really the vision, the metaphor of the moves. It's the step back to create the space between you and the thoughts that you're having or you and the sensations. And I just love that you break or bring in the sensations and that the breath is a way to powerfully move with those sensations and move those sensations through, put the body at ease, and then the stories calm down when you do that, right?
Now
So
here,
like really addressing those
that's it.
sensations is so powerful, man.
You're
Um,
you're killing stories. So
mhm,
this is when we got moves. This is when you become a swordless samurai. And the
mm,
swordless samurais, there's no weapons out here that can kill a story. The
mm,
weapons are inside of grace
mm.
and poise and knowing the story is an illusion. The story might be like, oh my God, don't miss another shot. You're going to die. And you look at that story and you say, fine, let's go see how it works.
Yep.
And then that story's like, what the fuck? Then that story gets scared and you're like, oh yeah, we're hunting you.
Mhm.
And now we're bringing offense to the party. So
Mm,
now you know how to actually fight.
mm,
So to free yourself, you recognize the illusion of a story, aka mindfulness. You make
mhm,
space from the story. It tries to press you. You're gonna get cooked right now, right? Just like in basketball, you don't go right past half court, pick up the ball, and have two guys trap you, right? That's the
mhm,
classic trap. That's what
mhm,
stories do. They're
mm.
drawing you right into a place where you're gonna get trapped and you have nowhere to go. And you say, wait, I see that story.
Right,
I feel the sensation. Ooh, watch me step back.
right.
Take a breath. Ha ha. And so now we're getting offensive minded. We're delivering blows in these moments. We're
Mm,
not a victim that stuff's happening to. We are like, I know what's happening and I'm going to seek out this illusion. Because the more we
Mhm.
kill the illusions, it's literally called enlightenment. You enlighten yourself, the stories go away, and you're like, I'm more free. And if you can
Mhm.
do that and you can still hoop, ooh,
Let's
oh,
go.
you might be looking at Aaron Gordon right now.
Yeah.
You know what
Ooh.
I mean? Like you might be looking at a 29-year-old who's a free person,
Hmm.
who was like effortless with the basketball movements. The stories are gone. The story you
Yeah.
can't shoot. Clearly that story's dead.
Yeah.
He
And
shoots 80% from the free throw. Those stories are dead.
mhm.
You know what I mean?
And you're moving like I know he's gone through hard stuff this year, family wise, losing his brother. This isn't just a basketball conversation here. These are the ways that you step back and be on the
Right.
offense or manage and be mindful of the stories that are going on all over the place. And I wanted to bring up this piece as well, just for like parents out there. How can they support their kids with this and support? I mean, I'd imagine it's the same playbook for themselves,
It's the same
like
playbook. Be a palms down parent. This is the biggest one. And palms down is don't react, respond. Don't live in a reactionary state watching your child and you're reacting to everything that's going on. That'll devastate them and it'll devastate everything around them. And usually by the time they're 16, they don't play sports much anymore because someone doing this all the time is really, really awful to them. So
a lot of
we
pressure.
like to say, I don't react, I respond, I take a breath, and I move on. Parent, just do that the whole time while you're watching your child. And the
Hmm.
story's in your head, like, my child's not going to make it. Don't worry. If they're good at basketball, you don't have to worry. That's all nonsense.
Right.
Reactionary energy that you pass to your child is devastating to them.
Mm.
If you're a coach and you do it, it's devastating. If you're a CEO of an organization and you do this, people quit after that. People leave. People don't. If you're like, hey, I'm going to take a breath and choose my response, people flock to be around that person.
Right.
People flock to be in that energy because that's the energy of that. So
Hmm.
palms down, parents, right? I don't react, I respond. I take a breath and I move on. That's a move right there. Right? The palms down is a move. It's a move and it makes you better at your next play speed, right? Which is how fast can I come back to the present? If
Right.
I'm here, I'm in the past. I'm arguing about something that just happened that I judged as not worthy. I'm being righteous. I'm self-centered. It's all about me. And you are devastating everything around you in an awful way.
Hmm.
And if I'm going, just frankly, if we're in a competitive space and I'm going against you, I'm going to destroy you. If
Hmm.
I sense so, if you're competitive and like to win, I mean, the reason I bring out the UConn rings and stuff is just to show people how real this is.
Hmm.
Aaron's got a ring, Jaylen's got a ring. This ain't gonna work. You
Hmm.
start to be one of these, lethal,
Hmm. Hmm.
lethal. The third level of palms down is gratitude. And you go,
Ooh.
I'm so grateful right now that my child is triggering me to react because if I react right now, I'm going to lose my child. Thank you for helping me train in the stands right now. I'm just going to breathe and be quiet.
Mm. Mm.
It'll
That's
be
your.
the most,
Mm.
yeah, it'll be the most intense, probably 3 or 4 minutes of your life. And this is where you get to see if you're tough. This is where all your competitive juice as a parent, all of your firepower to want your child, this is when we see if you got it.
Hmm.
Be quiet and breathe for 5 minutes. If
Mm.
you can do that, your child has a chance.
Wow.
If you can't, don't ever say you're competitive, and
Mm.
don't ever say because you're honestly lost. Now, I've tried to draw. I'm just bringing some heat for a sec.
Right. Bring it
Just
home,
it's
man.
just to help people because most of the time in a reactionary state, you're in your feelings. This is hard to get out of. But the referee, they're fifth graders and they're being manhandled. I know, and this ain't helping at all.
Hmm.
So it's like
Hmm.
whatever you're seeing is probably true. That ref probably missed the call on your little Tony. That's
Hmm.
probably what happened. And this ain't going to help little Tony
Right.
because
Yeah.
you're going to go home and you're going to talk in the car and you're going to try to coach them the way home and they're going to tune you out and we're out. But if you
Hmm.
just take a breath, choose your response, and literally do the most intense thing you've ever done in your life, yeah.
Hmm.
One, salute to you. Know
Right.
that you have respect for me. And
Hmm.
two, that's going to help your child. And instead of your child calling me asking why I hate sports anymore, now your child has a chance to love sports.
Right. And then they want to show up more for sports and do more training and practice this stuff more because they're seeing you doing it and they have your support in that way, man.
Come
That's
on,
really
brother. You know
powerful.
how it works, man.
And I
So
also know it's freaking hard, dude. Like that's like as a
Hard,
coach, as
hard,
a future parent that's really like trying to put the work in
hard,
on the front end, like to
hard.
be able to show up, like this shit is hard because we do care a lot. And that's why it's training, right? That's why we
Training,
can, and it's comes back to that same thing
training.
of grace and compassion for yourself when you mess up and you do react in the game and it does have a negative effect on your kid. Can you respond from there?
Um,
Can you
that's
get
right.
back to the present moment from there?
Own it. Just own it. None of us are perfect at this.
Hmm.
You know, we have to practice this. These are moves. So if this is a move, practice it like 500 times.
Right.
You know what I mean? Then we'll be like, oh, good. How you doing with it? Probably better than you were the first time.
Right.
You
Right.
know? And then just ask yourself, how many times have you done this and it worked out well? Right?
Mm.
Just ask yourself. Have people been like, hey man, amazing leadership in that moment. Amazing parenting when you just did that. Wow, coach, hell of a job. No, it's embarrassing. And you look back and it's awful. When police do this, people die.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So my
Yeah.
training with police, palms down is as real as it gets for cops. We teach cops how to de-escalate situations just by de-escalating themselves.
Yeah.
And they're like, turns out
Mhm.
if I de-escalate myself, people listen way better. And you're like, oh, that's a miracle.
Right.
As opposed
Right.
to freeze. And you're like, oh, you think they're gonna fucking freeze? No,
Right.
they're in fear. And then you're like, they're scared, I'm shoot, bang. And now we're in trouble. So I
Yeah.
bring up midwifery and cops because those are lives.
Hmm.
When you're watching your kid play sports, they're gonna be okay.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
They're gonna be okay after the game. So
Yeah.
remember that and work on your breath. But you do feel life or death in that moment. And that's
Hmm.
us acknowledging the chemical reaction that's happening in your body is intense,
Hmm.
right? The stories are absurd, have nothing to do with reality, but the intensity is real. So this is a big moment. And that's why I'm like, hey, don't react. Respond. When you sit there and breathe for 3 minutes, when I say this will be the most intense moment of your life, I'm serious. You
Hmm.
may have never been still in a moment like that before. You're
Hmm.
just used to doing this, right? To
Right.
actually do this, that's harnessing a volcano.
Right.
And now you're like, and then you're like, it needs some place to go. And then you're gonna, oh, I better go breathe. I better meditate. I'm
Right.
gonna have to work out 2 or 3 times today. And then you
Hmm.
start to process energy because all
Yeah.
energy is real. The stories are make believe. The energy is real.
Hmm.
So if you think of yourself as a CEO, a conscious energy officer, all of our job is to harness this energy. And if you look at palms down, right, we're just riding big waves. What do you think my posture is right now? Big wave surfing, baby. And
Ah.
when you're on a big wave, I can't ride a wave like this.
Hmm.
But I can barrel a wave like this. Bam, you know, athletic. I'm athletic spiritually. I'm athletic emotionally right now. I can move. I'm flexible. I'm
Hmm.
not just gonna break, you
Hmm.
know, and now I'm fluid. Woo.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Graham, I mean, when you get on a roll, it's just like it's inspiring, man, and you're just dropping like tools that I can honestly say since you and I met, maybe a little bit before that, but pretty much since the day we met, I've been on that journey of working on these skills and it fucking works, man. Like with the hardest stuff in life, like losing loved ones, going through challenges in relationship, like that stuff where Graham's describing, like you feel like you're gonna die, like you really can learn to ride those fucking waves, man.
yes,
And
that's
it's
right.
powerful, it's special. Graham, I wanted
That's
to,
right.
I want to keep this like succinct for everybody here, but the last question that I wanted to hit you with is why music? Like,
Yeah.
why do you bring music into this world?
Man, well, it called me, so I answered the call. And I guess when I think about music and math, right? Both are really cool stuff, right? Math helps the world out a lot. In general, when you think about really successful people in math, in general, you don't think of dancing and rhythm, right? In general, right? You'd be like, oh,
Mhm.
a math brain is like a different thing. Then you think of music, and it's like a flow state, right? So, I have a little bit of both, and I just realized that music is how you can create flow. And
Mm,
music is gets you out of your math brain. And if you can dance and move your body and listen to bass or have something hit you, now we're feeling something. And
mhm,
this is unarguable, but life is moving at all times. This is energy. Everyone knows it. Science knows it's energy. You can trace it, right? And so if we can get into a vibrational level of frequency, and we
mhm,
operate from a frequency level, that can enhance everything we do. So music is just a natural thing for that.
mhm.
And I just love it so much, man. And so it's just like a flow state for me. I've made over 1,000 beats in the last Sheesh, man, 2.5 years maybe.
Hmm.
And I barely remember making any of them because it's all flow state for me. So when I get into music, I'm not like, oh, I got to make a hit. I'm just like, bang, put it on and just start vibing. And I
Right.
found something that allows me to flow.
Mhm.
And so I just kept doing it, man. And
Heck
now,
yeah.
we can transfer like palms down. We can take all this mental stuff, put beats behind it, and then say you just listen to a song for 3 minutes. It's training your subconscious.
Hmm.
It's training you on a deep level with the language, with the rhythm, with the melody. And then all the
Hmm.
science with learning with melody says if you learn with melody, you have twice the chance to retain it. I don't react,
Um,
I respond. I take a breath and I move on.
uh-huh.
Bro, that's for 5-year-olds. I
Right.
go left, then right, then left, then right, and it'll stick with you. So that's just
Hmm.
these are tried and true teaching principles, and we just go back to them. And I love music, and I'm really grateful that I'm allowed to make music, and I didn't see it coming, but it's like a flow state thing for me. So it's but you can put in little rhymes, and because the hardest group I've ever worked with, Ben, was 5-year-olds, because 5-year-olds you can't really talk to. You have to be essentially singing and dancing or kind of
Hmm.
they'll tune you out real quick. And so that's where I came up with a lot of these melodies, was to work with them. And then it turns out all adults love this stuff. So
Right.
it's like
Right.
we all want to live like that, you know?
Yeah, it creates that vibe, that rhythm, that flow. We can feel it, we can move with it. And then the training of the subconscious, I feel like, is that next level. Like it's the combination of like
Yeah,
the message, but the rhythm. And man, I'm thankful that you're doing that for yourself, for the world, man. Truly, like just
yeah.
using your creative powers and all the other powers that you possess, like kind of putting it all into one space, man. Um,
Right on, Ben. Thanks,
Graham,
Ben.
I can't appreciate you enough. You know, I could talk to you for like 3 weeks. I would love, I would love that, man. But thank you once again for coming through today. I hope everybody listening
Yeah.
found like this helpful. I always do. So even if it's just me today, man, thank you. Graham, is there any place or where can people find you, your music,
Oh yeah. The
connect?
music, go to at Graham the Guide, Guide. So not Graham the Guy, but Graham the Guide. It's on all streaming platforms. So I try to release a ton of music, so it's all over the place. Graham the Guide on Instagram, hit me up. Everyone who hits me up, I'll hit you back as long as you're
Mhm,
genuine and authentic. And like
mhm,
I hit everybody back.
mhm,
And then I have every Sunday I do a gym called Palms Down for youth athletes, and we do it at
mhm.
4:30 on Zoom. And it's the same program I did with UConn. And so I designed a program where no cameras on, no microphones on. We just do breath work, breathing
Mhm.
exercises, little meditation. We have beats on in the background. We try to make it a fun workout for your mental game.
Yeah.
So that's something we do every Sunday. So
Heck
I'm
yeah.
I'm committed to doing that live.
And
I'm
that's
committed.
4:30 East Pacific time.
Yeah, 4:30 Pacific, and palmsdown.us
Hmm.
is the website. So check it out. Come through anytime. We try to have a blast and have fun.
Heck yeah. You guys, I can't push that out there enough. Like follow up on this. This dude is the real deal and he's a man of his word. So Graham, once again, just thank you, bro.
Yeah, of course, man. You got it, Ben. Thank you, Ben. We do this together. We're out here
Heck
doing it
yeah.
together, man.